The alarm blared through the obsidian corridors of the Valerian Ascendancy ship, echoing like a war cry through the metal bones of the vessel. Lieutenant Commander Thalos, elite enforcer of the Solari Empire, stormed into the command deck with her pulse lance primed. Her lavender skin shimmered with residual energy, and her silver hair trailed like a comet's tail as she strode forward. Intruder alert. Unregistered life form detected. Species human. She should have vaporized him on sight. Instead, she froze. The man stood at the center of the control room, hands raised, face pale but resolute. Clad in torn military garb, he looked every bit the enemy, primitive, carbon-born, a remnant of Earth's fractured fleet. Yet something was wrong. He wasn't attacking. He wasn't even armed. "I'm not here to fight," he said, voice cracking with urgency. "Please, I came to warn you. They're coming." Thalos didn't hesitate. Her instincts overrode her doubts. She pulled the trigger. The pulse blast stopped inches from his chest, absorbed by the emergency dampeners triggered by the ship's AI. "Commander," the AI intoned. "He carries a Solari identification code. High priority. Genetic imprint. Classified." Thalos blinked, lowering her weapon slightly. "Impossible." The human looked her in the eyes. "Your people created me. I'm not just human. I'm something else." And just like that, her certainty unraveled. Thalos didn't lower her weapon entirely. Not yet. The man's calmness was too precise, too deliberate. That steady voice, that unwavering eye contact. It wasn't how a desperate fugitive behaved. She circled him slowly, pulse lance still raised. "State your designation." He hesitated. "Lieutenant Orion Vale, Earth Interstellar Navy, Reconnaissance Division. Or what's left of it." "Reconnaissance," she sneered. "Your kind doesn't cross into Solari space unless they're spies or corpses." His expression twisted, not with fear, but frustration. "I didn't come here to die. I came because something worse is coming. And if you don't listen, you won't have a throne to guard." Thalos narrowed her eyes. The nerve of him speaking of the throne. He didn't even know who she was. Not really. Not the heiress of the WYR chain. Not the Sword of Syros. Not the last true daughter of High Matron Sirene. But he knew something. Enough to earn him a delay in execution. She motioned to the guards. "Contain him. No restraints. I want him conscious." Orion didn't resist as the Solari Sentinels approached. Sleek humanoid constructs of obsidian and cobalt plating, scanning him with multispectrum sensors. He let them lead him from the command bridge without another word. But Thalos noticed how his eyes never stopped moving. Observing. Calculating. It was the gaze of someone trained to survive. The command deck's energy dimmed slightly as the AI resumed silent monitoring. Thalos turned to the holographic feed of the perimeter scans, running parallel visual analyses of his body's thermal and neurological patterns. Everything checked out. Normal vitals. Slight radiation exposure. Trace nanite presence. But nothing explained how he passed through the shield wall, or why his DNA showed partial Solari structuring. She ordered a full genetic scan. In her private chambers later that cycle, Thalos replayed the AI's scan data for the third time. The results made her stomach tighten. Orion Vale's DNA carried a synthetic sequence, a strand she recognized from classified Bioforge experiments her mother had terminated decades ago. Experiments meant to merge Solari and human physiology. And only one such prototype was ever greenlit. Project Viros, a war-born hybrid, the perfect infiltrator. But it had been destroyed, hadn't it? She clenched her fists, nails biting into her palms. Outside her door, the hallway shimmered in soft blues, the stars of Virex, 9 glinting through the viewport. Thalos didn't trust coincidences. The stars might have guided some, but she'd fought her way to power without relying on fate. Still, something gnawed at her spine like frostbite. She summoned him the next day. Orion stood tall in the detention hall's interrogation chamber. Cleaned, reclothed, but unarmed. His Earth Navy uniform had been replaced with a neutral synthweave tunic issued to foreign detainees. He looked smaller somehow, Not physically. But in this place, with her people's technology humming all around, he was clearly out of his element. "Where did you get that genetic code?" she asked without preamble. "I didn't get it," he replied. "I was born with it. My mother died during childbirth. My records were redacted. The military found me in a med vault beneath an abandoned research base near Europa. And you just wandered into Solari territory to deliver a warning out of the kindness of your heart?" "No," he said sharply. "Because whatever's coming, it doesn't care who wins between Earth and Sealer. It'll kill us all. And I figured the Solari are the only ones with the firepower to stop it." The Los tilted her head. "You presume a great deal. I've seen what it did to an entire mining moon. No survivors. No remains. Just dust. Like something erased the entire colony out of reality." Silence settled like a fog between them. He didn't flinch. Didn't plead. That bothered her. She stepped closer. "What was the colony's name?" "RC Prime. Research Outpost. Level 9 Containment Protocols. Gone in less than an hour." She inhaled sharply. That name meant something. Her mother had once whispered of RC during the last political purge. A facility used for temporal weave testing. The Los turned her back to him, facing the shimmering wall panel. "Why didn't you go to the Earth High Command?" "I did. They told me to forget it ever happened. 2 hours later, someone tried to assassinate me." That gave her pause. The Solari weren't the only ones with secrets. "I should kill you," she said quietly. "You could," Orion replied. "But if I'm right, I'm the only one who can help you stop what's coming." The Los stared at her reflection in the alloy, half bathed in starlight, half shadowed by suspicion. "Prove it," she said. He looked surprised. "Just a flicker." "How?" "You'll accompany me to the Outer Rim listening post. You'll identify the anomaly. And if this is a trick," she turned to him, voice like an unsheathed blade, "I'll tear the truth from you myself." Orion nodded slowly. "Fair enough." The next day, the Valerian Ascendancy shifted orbit, its thrusters lighting up like a phoenix's wings. The Los stood beside him on the observation deck as they broke atmosphere. Destination plotted, clearance granted. Neither spoke much during the initial travel. The command crew watched Orion with veiled curiosity, some with suspicion, others with awe. A human walking among them freely? It was unheard of. Most Solari had never seen a human this close without a containment field between them. Orion, for his part, asked few questions. He studied the ship, the stars, the systems. He made notes on a cracked data slate he'd salvaged. He was observant, yes, but respectful. Never intrusive. Yet the Los caught him more than once watching her. Not lustfully, not fearfully, like someone who had seen a storm before and wasn't sure whether she was the eye of it or the lightning. On the third day, a proximity alert flared. The ship dropped from lightspeed just beyond the event perimeter of the Arden Vale Nebula. The stars here pulsed with unstable energy, violet fields of plasma drifting across ancient battle zones, still echoing with the detritus of empires. And something was wrong. The listening post was dark. No signals, no life signs, just one drifting emergency beacon, weak and irregular. Orion leaned forward, eyes narrowing. That's their failsafe. When the post detects something it can't identify, it goes completely silent. Ghost protocol. The Los scanned the display, dread curdling in her gut. The post wasn't just empty. It had been stripped. Every panel, every body, gone. She looked to Orion. What did this? He didn't answer, because suddenly the beacon's signal changed. A new pulse, deliberate, in Morse code. One word, run. The ship rocked violently as a gravitational spike lanced through subspace, a fissure opening in the veil of real space itself. Anomaly forming. An eye of darkness bloomed ahead, devouring light, logic, sound. The Los acted on instinct. Raise shields. Reverse thrusters. Prepare for evasive. Too late. A beam of energy not made of heat or matter but absence itself shot forth, slicing past the vessel's wing. Systems flickered. The ship reeled. Orion gripped the railing beside her, eyes locked on the void. That's it. That's what hit Arcee. The Los snapped to her second-in-command. Divert all power to warp array. Emergency jump to fallback coordinates. The AI protested, but she overrode it manually. The ship screamed as it tore back into lightspeed, leaving behind the death-silent field. They emerged hours later, far from the nebula, drifting in emergency power mode. The crew tended to minor injuries. Damage control began rebooting systems. The Los stood alone in the corridor, watching the stars. Orion approached, silent, until he stood beside her. "I didn't want this," he said softly. "Neither did I," she replied. "But the stars have strange designs." He looked at her then, not just as a soldier or a warning carrier, but as something else. "You believe me now?" She didn't answer, because even if she wanted to say no, the fear coiled in her stomach said otherwise. The universe had changed, and somehow they were at the center of it. The ship's medbay was cold, humming with soft blue light as diagnostic probes hovered silently over injured crew. The Los sat at the far end, armored but weary, letting a dermal regenerator knit a plasma graze across her shoulder. Orion stood by the wall, arms crossed, quiet. He hadn't said a word since their escape from the ardent veil. She studied him in the reflection of a glass cabinet, expression tight, jaw flexing. He didn't know the language, but body tension? That was universal. "You've been through 1,000 simulations," she said dryly. "And none of them prepared you for this, did they?" "No simulation prepares you for death wrapped in silence," he muttered. She looked at him fully then. "You could have run when the beacon changed. You didn't." "I don't run," he replied. "Especially not when others might die if I do." She hated how that made something in her chest shift. Something she'd locked away long ago. When the ship stabilized in the orbit of a secluded repair station built inside the hollow of an ancient asteroid, the Los met with her inner council. She excluded Orion, despite his objections. It was one thing to tolerate a human's presence. It was another to grant him access to matters of military priority. But the council wasn't pleased. "He's a hybrid," hissed strategist Carrick. "A weapon, likely planted to destabilize the ascendancy." "He risked his life to warn us," the Los snapped. "He could have left the moment we dropped shields. He stayed." "That means nothing," Carrick replied. "His creators may have programmed loyalty behaviors." The Los felt her patience thinning. And if he was made to bridge the gap between species? To warn both sides of a shared threat? Then what? Silence followed. No one answered, because even Carrick, with all his paranoia, couldn't argue against the footage from the listening post. The void beam, the disappearing matter. The Los ended the meeting with a single order. "He stays under observation, but we follow the signal trail. We find where this thing came from, and we end it." Later, Orion sat in a Solari observation chamber, watching the stars twist past the viewport, arms resting on a circular table. A tray of protein rations sat untouched beside him. He turned when the door slid open. "You missed the briefing," the Los said flatly. "I wasn't invited," he replied. She stepped in, the door closing behind her. "I made the call to keep you out. You're still an unknown variable." "I get it," he said. "Trust is earned, not demanded." That surprised her. Most humans she'd interrogated over the years, captives, envoys, defectors, had either begged, postured, or tried to manipulate. Orion did none of those things. He simply existed, quietly enduring, watching. "You're a strange one," she muttered. He smirked faintly. "Takes one to know one." That drew a ghost of a smile to her lips before she could stop it. "We've traced a residual quantum trail from the anomaly," she said. "But it passes through the drifting hollow." Orion frowned. "That's Solari deep territory, right?" She nodded. "Unmapped gravity wells, dormant black holes, and an asteroid field shaped like a shattered crescent. Even our best ships don't go in without a backup crew." He leaned forward. "You're taking me with you." "I am," she said. "You saw the effect firsthand. You felt the energy." Our scanners can't make sense of it. Maybe your hybrid physiology can. His expression shifted at that word, hybrid. It still seemed new to him, like wearing armor that didn't quite fit. If I go, you have to brief me fully. No more locked doors. The Los considered him for a moment, then nodded. Done. The expedition to the drifting hollow began 2 days later aboard a smaller, faster Solari cruiser, the Oathpiercer. Designed for stealth and agility, it required a crew of only 20 and minimal AI navigation. The Los hand-selected the crew, those she trusted most, and included Orion at her side. It was awkward at first. He didn't understand their language, not all of it. The interface displays confused him. Solari protocol rituals baffled him. At one point, he tried to open a sealed door using muscle alone and triggered a ship-wide lockdown. You humans are all fists and fire, the Los growled afterward. You ask before you act. Sorry, he muttered. Your ships don't come with user manuals. Despite the mistakes, the crew slowly warmed to him. Some out of curiosity, others out of quiet admiration. He volunteered for dangerous repairs, learned Solari hand signals, even helped tune the reactor pulse harmonics by guessing the oscillation frequency, something even the AI struggled with. You feel the systems, the Los said one night as they calibrated the shields. Like you're wired into them. I think I'm part machine, not visibly but inside. Synthetic nervous tissue maybe. Something that interfaces without effort. She nodded, then hesitated. That scares you? Yes, he said. But not as much as not knowing who made me this way. Later that night, they sat alone in the cruiser's small mess hall. Most of the crew slept. A long stretch of stars glided silently past the observation dome above. The Los broke the quiet. My people don't bond easily. We form what we call Esyari soul compacts. Emotional alignments. It's rare. He tilted his head. And I think I feel one forming. Orion blinked, caught off guard. With me. She didn't look away. Yes. There was a long pause. Then, very slowly, he reached across the table and took her hand. I don't know what I am, he said. But I feel it too. Their fingers stayed entwined for long minutes, silence speaking more than words ever could. The next day, the ship crossed the event horizon into the drifting hollow. Static danced along the hull. Lights flickered. Reality seemed to bend at the edges of vision. The gravity shifted unpredictably. One corridor stretched impossibly long. Another reversed its layout entirely. Orion stumbled, dazed, as the crew anchored themselves to structural hardpoints. What is this? Temporal distortion, the Los muttered. The anomaly passed through here. It's broken the natural rules. As they approached the center of the hollow, something emerged from the debris field. Not a ship, a structure, floating, pulsing. An alien tower of black crystalline spirals, impossibly ancient, not of Solari or Earth design. Sent no signal, reflected no light, yet it felt alive. Orion clutched his chest suddenly, gasping. It's calling to me. The Los grabbed him. What do you mean? I don't know. It's like it knows me. It's inside my head. He collapsed. Systems screamed with alarms. And as the Los called for medtechs, the alien tower pulsed once. A single pulse. Every system on the cruiser died. Total blackness. An Orion veil began to glow. The emergency lights flickered dim red as the Oathpiercer drifted silently in the gravity-scarred region of the drifting hollow. Consoles blinked erratically, systems dead, power severed at the source. The crew scrambled, manually sealing bulkheads and establishing gravity field stabilizers. And at the center of the chaos, Orion Veil hovered 6 inches above the floor, encased in tendrils of blue-white energy that shimmered around his body like spectral veins. His eyes glowed faintly, unfocused. The Los knelt beside him, her gauntlet reaching toward the arc of energy. But she stopped, her instincts screaming that contact might burn straight through her bones. Instead, she ordered, "Stasis shield, now. Keep the energy from spreading." Carrick and 2 technicians raced to deploy a quantum null field. The moment they activated the projector, a low-pitched hum vibrated through the deck, and the energy around Orion flared, and then contracted, pulling itself inward like it was shielding him from their attempts to contain it. "I've never seen anything like this," Carrick said grimly. "Not from any known tech. It's biological. It's him. Try to suppress it again and you answer to me," the Los snapped. "He's not the threat. That thing outside is." The crystalline tower floated serenely beyond the forward viewport, rotating in impossible patterns. It cast no shadow but seemed to absorb every frequency of light, time, and thought. It pulsed again, and this time several crew members collapsed, clutching their temples. The Los stood, her breath steady despite the chaos. "Get him to medbay. Lock down any neural interference tech. I'm going out there." "You're not serious," Carrick began, but the look in her eyes silenced him. 10 minutes later, she stood at the airlock, clad in void armor, her dual blades magnetized across her back. As the door hissed open and the vacuum of the hollow reached in, she leapt. Microbursts from her boots propelled her toward the black tower, across a vacuum salted with shattered moons and dead ships frozen mid-explosion. Some were ancient, others bore insignia from no known species. When her boots magnetized to the structure's surface, the material vibrated beneath her. A whisper, not in her ears, but behind her mind. "We see you, daughter of fire. You protect what was never yours." She ignited her left blade, jabbing it into the structure, testing, provoking. A ripple pulsed from the impact, traveling outward, visible in space like a shockwave across water. Inside the ship, Orion gasped awake. His vision swam half in reality, half in something else. A place of shadow and motion. He wasn't alone there. Something ancient watched him from the depths of thought. "You're a seed," a voice said in his mind, not his own. He tried to speak, but his mouth produced no sound. A weapon born of forgotten wars. And now, the key. Images flashed in his mind. Blueprints of DNA spliced with quantum filaments. A woman, Solari, eyes glowing, holding a human infant, then running as fire consumed a city. And a man, armored in black, watching with regret. Orion collapsed to the floor as systems flickered back to life. The lights surged, the hum of the ship returning. He stumbled to his feet, heart hammering. He knew what he had to do. He had to reach the Los. Outside, the tower opened like a blooming flower, petals of dark crystal unfolding silently as the Los stood at its edge. A walkway extended toward her, beckoning. She stepped forward. Inside was light, not artificial, not alive, something in between. A sphere levitated at the center, suspended in cascading rings of matter-antimatter flow. She stepped closer, feeling heat, cold, weight, and nothing all at once. When her hand brushed the edge of the sphere, pain lanced through her skull. Memories not hers, voices long dead, stars exploding, species dying. And then Orion arrived, jetpack hissing as he landed beside her. "I remember now," he said hoarsely. The Los turned, startled. "You should be in medbay. I'm the reason this tower called us. I'm the lock. This thing is a vault, or a prison, and whatever's inside, it was never meant to get out." The Los stepped back, watching him with a new caution. "How do you know this?" "Because the people who made me, they made this too. My DNA, my mind, it's the interface. And this tower isn't awake. Not fully, but it will be." As if in response, the sphere's rings spun faster. "Then we destroy it," she said. "We can't," he replied. "If we try, it releases a failsafe, unleashes whatever it was built to contain. And I don't think even your fleets could stop it." She stared at him. "Then what's the alternative?" "I bond with it. Complete the protocol. Put it back to sleep. You could die." He nodded. "Or worse." The Los stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to do this." "I do," he said, "because whoever I was meant to be doesn't matter anymore. But you gave me a name, a choice. That means everything." And without waiting for another word, He stepped into the sphere of rings. Light engulfed him. The tower screamed, silent and absolute. Space warped. The Oathpiercer reeled as gravity flux tore through the hollow. The Los shouted his name, but no sound reached him. Inside the core, Orion stood before a being. Not a creature. An intelligence. Black with tendrils of thought, regret, rage. "You are the key," it whispered. "No," Orion said. "I'm the lock." And he did something not even he knew he could. He willed it to sleep. It resisted, tore into his mind. But then it hesitated. Because inside Orion was a memory, not a weapon. A woman's voice, whispering a name. The Los. And somehow that human emotion, love, raw and defiant, shut the vault. The tower collapsed into itself, folding across dimensions, vanishing without sound. And Orion fell from the sky. The Los caught him mid-air, her jets firing, clutching his limp form as they tumbled through the hollow. His eyes fluttered open. "You came for me." "Of course I did," she said, breathless. He smiled faintly. "Did we win?" "We survived," she whispered. "That's more than I expected." Back aboard the Oathpiercer, the crew erupted into stunned silence as the two landed. Systems restored. Alarms ceased. Later, as Orion rested in the medbay, the Los sat beside him. "You were made for war," she said quietly. "But you chose something else." "I chose you," he replied. And when their hands touched, there was no energy surge. No shock, only warmth, and the slow, certain rhythm of two hearts, finally aligned. They stood together beneath the shattered sky of Varello's Prime, where once a towering crystalline tower had rippled across space-time. Now only drifting fragments remained, orbiting slowly above a city that had returned to silence. It had been weeks since the incident in the hollow, and yet echoes of that encounter rippled through the galaxy. The Los adjusted the cloak draped over her shoulder, ceremonial black with gold-threaded trim, the attire of a queen in wartime. She hated it, not because it was heavy, but because it marked a duty she no longer trusted completely. She looked out across the balcony of her throne chamber, a half-circle of obsidian and force glass, and watched the stars with a gaze that had grown softer, wearier. Behind her, footsteps, steady, familiar. "I never get used to how quiet this place is," Orion said as he stepped beside her, gaze following hers into the dark. She didn't answer at first. When she did, her voice was low. "It was never meant to be ruled alone. My people, they used to have councils, families, a balance of power. And now," he asked, "now they look to me for every answer, every judgment, every punishment." She turned to face him. "And I wonder what happens when I fail." Orion stepped closer. "Then I remind them you bled for them, that you made choices no one else could. And if they still doubt you, they'll have to deal with me." Her lips curled faintly. "You're one man. I'm stubborn, and persuasive, and foolishly brave," she added. Their eyes met, a silence stretching between them. Not tense, not hesitant, but full. Full of every moment they'd survived, every unspoken truth. And still, neither moved to close the space between them. The moment shattered with a sound, urgent, metallic, blaring from the console behind them. The Los snapped around. "What is it?" A holographic projection flared to life. Carrick's voice came through, distorted but urgent. "My queen, contact from the Crimson Expanse. We've detected a pulse. Same frequency signature as the Hollow Tower." Orion went pale. "That's impossible." The tower collapsed. "I felt it die." Carrick continued. "It's not a tower this time. It's a ship, and it's moving. Fast." The Los looked at Orion. "Can you feel it?" He closed his eyes, reaching inward, into that part of him that had once glowed with alien power. Now it hummed quietly, like a distant storm behind a sealed door. "Yes," he said, "and it knows I'm still alive." By nightfall, the Oathpiercer had launched into orbit. The command center was alight with energy, maps displaying system trajectories and possible intercept points. The mysterious vessel, blacker than vacuum, moved like a thought, unbound by physics. Its course was deliberate. It's not random, Orion said, examining the data. It's not scouting. It's coming for me. The Los frowned. Then we use you as bait. Risky, Carrick said. If it's anything like the tower, we're not surviving this by hiding, the Los snapped. We intercept it above the Glaxus belt, away from civilians, minimal risk to colonies. What if it's not alone? Orion asked. The Los paused. We assume it is, she said. Until it isn't. The battle above Glaxus began with silence. No weapons, no warning. The alien ship arrived by folding into space like a blade-piercing fabric. Simply was where it hadn't been. Its form shifted, slender at times, then jagged. Alive and not. A construct or a being no one could tell. The Oathpiercer fired first, a test shot, disruptor pulse. It struck the vessel's hull and dissolved without trace. Then came the reply. A beam of energy, black and purple like venom, tore across the void. It didn't damage systems. It emptied them. Screens went dark. Lights vanished. Life support buckled. Inside the bridge, chaos erupted. EMP countermeasures failing, someone shouted. Backup generators online, Carrick barked. The Los stood calm, a figure of stillness amidst the panic. She looked at Orion. You said you were the key, she said. Then maybe this time you can be the blade. Orion nodded, stepping forward toward the central uplink chair, the neural interface used for deep command functions. A place where the ship and the pilot shared thoughts. No one's ever survived full link, Carrick warned. Good thing I'm not just anyone, Orion said. He sat. The interface pierced his mind like ice. The Oathpiercer shuddered and then moved. Not by thrusters, by instinct. Orion saw everything. Every deck. Every breath. He was the ship. And through that union, he reached toward the alien vessel. He sent a thought, you don't belong here. The response came like thunder. You open the gate. You are the gate. Suddenly, the enemy ship changed shape, unfolding like a blooming shadow. Dozens of spines extended. Weapons. Too many. The Los turned to Carrick. Evacuate non-combatants. Brace for impact. The sky lit up. Missiles and beams danced across the black. The Oathpiercer moved impossibly fast, dodging with finesse no pilot could manage. Only a mind fused with the vessel could. Orion saw paths, predictions. He dodged death like it was a game of light and shadow. And still the enemy advanced. Until finally he understood. It's not a ship, he gasped. It's a carrier. It's trying to open a gate from the inside. To let more through. The Los stood beside him, fingers white on the railing. Then we end it. Now. There's only one way, Orion said. A full-core overload. From inside it. Silence. That's suicide, Carrick said. Orion looked at the Los. Her lips pressed into a thin line. No. There must be another way. There's not, Orion said. And if I don't do this, there won't be another chance. He stood, releasing from the chair. His body trembled from the strain, but he was resolute. I was made for this. Let me be what I was meant to be, but let me choose how. The Los stepped forward, grabbed his wrist. I won't let you go alone. You can't come. If I fail, you're the last line between them and this galaxy. She pulled him into an embrace. He felt the fire in her veins, the trembling she wouldn't show anyone else. Then she kissed him, a moment carved in stars. If you die, she whispered, I will burn the sky until nothing remains. He smiled. Then I better not. And then he left. The final battle was a blur. Orion flew a stolen scout pod through the broken hull of the alien carrier, dodging mindless drones and growing pulses of dark energy. He reached the core, an engine of thought and nightmare, beating like a heart. And he connected. He gave it everything. Not hate, not rage, memory, a child's laugh, a mother's warmth. Thalos's touch. The carrier screamed, then exploded. A son was born in the void. Light, silence, then figure drifting. alive. Weeks later, in the rebuilt gardens of Varello's prime, the Los knelt in the soft soil, planting seeds beneath twin moons. Behind her, footsteps. She didn't turn. I told you not to die. I tried, Orion said. It didn't take. She stood slowly, facing him. He was thinner, pale, but smiling. And he was home. No words, only an embrace. Later that night, in the starlit temple, before leaders and citizens of 100 systems, they stood hand in hand. I am no longer just a queen, the Los said. I am a guardian of two peoples. And this man, once a stranger, became my shield and my heart. Orion added, I was made in a lab, shaped to be a weapon, but she made me a person. And with her, I found my place. The crowd bowed, and above them the stars flickered, watching. They were safe, for now. But if the dark ever returned, they would rise again. Together,